All right, let's talk about one of the biggest milestones in your kid's life, the switch from baby teeth to permanent teeth. It's a really exciting time for sure, but it can also bring up a ton of questions.
You know the moment your child comes running to you, their tongue pushing at that first newly wobbly tooth. It's a huge deal, a real rite of passage. It's a sign they're growing up, but it's also just the very beginning of a pretty long process.
And that's exactly what we're going to do today. Think of this as your map. We're going to walk through the timeline, what to look for, and, importantly, when you might need to check in with a professional. The goal? For you to feel totally confident navigating this whole dental journey.
Okay, so let's get into it. First things first, what is actually happening inside your child's mouth? I mean, why do baby teeth fall out in the first place? It's a pretty brilliant system, actually.
Here's the main thing to remember. Baby teeth have a very important job beyond just chewing. Their biggest role is to hold a spot, to save space in the jaw for the permanent teeth that are getting ready down below. They're basically perfect little placeholders, making sure everything is lined up for the main event.
And how this all happens is, well, it's pretty cool. As that permanent tooth starts to push its way up, it actually causes the root of the baby tooth above it to start dissolving. You can think of it like an anchor that's slowly being, well, eaten away. Once enough of that anchor is gone, the baby tooth gets wobbly and eventually it falls out, clearing the way.
So, since this is a journey, what does the map actually look like? Now, every kid is a little different, of course, but the order that permanent teeth come in follows a surprisingly predictable pattern. And knowing this map helps you know if everything's on track.
Before we get to the timeline, just a super quick refresher on the key players here. You've got the incisors right up front, those are for biting, then the sharp canines on the corners for tearing, and of course the big molars in the back for all the heavy-duty chewing. Knowing these three types makes the timeline make a whole lot more sense. The whole show usually kicks off around age 6 or 7. That's when you'll see the first permanent molars and those front incisors. From there, it's a pretty steady process. And as you can see, most of the action is wrapped up by about age 12 or 13. The wisdom teeth, well, they're the famous latecomers, showing up much, much later.
But of course, not every trip follows the map perfectly, right? Sometimes you run into a little detour. But listen, don't worry, most of these are really common and totally manageable. So let's go through a simple watch list of things you can keep an eye on.
First up, let's talk about timing and symmetry. If your child is getting close to 8 and there are still no signs of a loose tooth, it's probably worth mentioning to your dentist. Same thing with symmetry. If a tooth comes in on the right side, its buddy on the left should show up within about 6 months. Also, keep an eye out for a stubborn baby tooth that just refuses to leave on schedule. That could be a sign that something needs a closer look.
Next, let's talk about where the teeth are coming in. Sometimes, a permanent tooth gets a little impatient and decides to pop up behind the baby tooth. This creates a kind of double row that people call shark teeth. It can look a little wild, but it's usually a pretty easy fix. You'll also want to watch for teeth coming in at a really odd angle, or if it just looks like there isn't enough space for everyone.
Okay, so you've noticed something on the watch list. What now? The idea here isn't to stress out. It's just to take the next step. Knowing when to call in your professional guide, your dentist, is the most important part. And the action plan couldn't be simpler. If you spot something that makes you go, you just schedule a checkup. That's it. Your dentist can take a look, and if they think something might be going on under the surface, like a tooth that's stuck, or maybe even one that's missing, an X-ray will give them the full picture.
So all those common issues we just talked about are manageable with professional help. But now we need to shift gears for a moment and talk about something very different and much more serious. This isn't a detour. It's a dangerous and harmful practice that every parent and caregiver needs to know about. It's called infant oral mutilation, or IOM.
IOM is a practice, sometimes known as EBINO, that's based on a completely false belief. The idea that the baby canine teeth that haven't come in yet are somehow worms or false teeth that cause things like fever or diarrhea. And to cure the baby, these developing tooth buds are traumatically gouged out, often with unsterile instruments.
Let's be absolutely clear. This practice is not just based on a myth, it is incredibly dangerous. The immediate risks are horrific. We're talking severe bleeding, life-threatening infections like septicemia, and yes, even death. And for those who survive, the long-term damage is devastating, causing missing or malformed adult teeth and serious problems with jaw development.
Okay, let's bring it back now. Let's focus on what you can do every day to support your child on their own dental journey.
Because for the vast majority of kids, this whole process is natural and simple, and your main job is just to be a calm, supportive guide.
So what are the big takeaways for you? First, encourage your kid to gently wiggle their loose teeth, but please resist that temptation to play dentist and yank them out. Just let them fall out on their own. And most importantly, keep up with those regular dental checkups. Getting in early is truly the best way to make sure everything is on track and can even prevent bigger orthodontic issues later on.
Seeing your child smile, change, and grow is a pretty amazing thing. And while there might be a few little bumps in the road, it doesn't have to feel like a mystery. Now that you know how it all works and what to watch for, you're not just a passenger anymore. You're the one holding the map.